Hi guys, this tutorial is going to be, it's mainly going to be about the coding side of buttons and relays. I've got my, it's what I made a while ago, this, like, by a while ago I mean like a few years ago. Basically it's a 6-button, it's only 3 wires, there's only one input for the Arduino, which is thingy, and then the white wire there. The orange and green are basically the ground and the positive, and it's just set off via resistors, different resistors, so they put out a different level through the analog read. So what we'll do is connect this up first. Don't really need to show you too much with this because, like I say, it's mainly code sided. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, for this, but you can still think of this as being a single button. I mean, you still need a feed to ground and positive. So basically, I think it's this one. So that'll go to my analog, the yellow one, which is the signal. Ground and 5 volts. That's also going to have to share. Them two must be the other way around. So I believe the orange one is my signal, and the yellow one is my 5 volts. I'm pretty sure I should get some lights flickering, but I'm not. Not to worry. Right, so we're using digital pin 2 for the first relay. I'll go into 1, and then we'll have 2, which hasn't got a wire in it. So we'll use this one. So that's 3. I'm plugging all these in now. Like I say, most of it's going to be code sided, so I only really need the one in to demonstrate it. But I'm going to put 6 in because that's all I can do, because I've only got 6 buttons to play with. I could have done it so I could press multiple buttons to add more to it, but it just seems a bit too fiddly. Right, hold on, there's only 2 of these left. I've got in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's the 6. I'm going to connect the board to ground. And I'm also going to have to share the VC. So now that's connected up, obviously I have to press the button. That's relay 1. The thing is with these, if you do hold them, it will keep going. That's 2, that's 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, I'll show you the rest in the code. Right, so what I'm about to do, I'm about to record this one again. I'd finished the video and done all the code and all that lot, and basically my sound was not recording, so it was blank. I was going to just, voice over on the video, but it seems a bit more tedious than it is, so I'm just going to redo the video. Hence why you can see data being streamed out of the serial at the moment. It did work in the end. Obviously these are the values being read from the little buttons that I'd set up with the resistors that I'd shown you before. Right, so what we'll do is we'll start the code again. So what I'm going to do is, this time, just to make it a little bit easier, I am going to name these. So this will be our buttons. Let's Try and keep things tidy. Alright, so we'll have int, and we'll call this one button, because this is going to be the button. And we'll set that to 0, because we don't need a value for it. We're also going to need a status. Status. Right. We'll call that button status 1. So PS1. And that will be, no it won't, it will be 0. And now we're going to need to set up the relays, so we want relays. Relays. So I've got OCD. I've got to keep it neat. Right, so we'll name this relay 1. Just keep, like I say, keep it all simple, so you know what things are as you're doing it. And this is going to be digital pin 2, so we set that to 2. And then we're going to need a delay. We'll call it delays. We'll stick that there, and then we'll have that as D. So D equals 250, which is going to be the milliseconds, microseconds, microseconds. So that's going to be the microseconds, so that's quarter of a second. And now what we'll do is, okay, so we need to first of all, the serial monitor. I know I've already got a serial monitor open, but like I say, I've deleted the code and then redoing it, so you can see how it's done. So to obviously get information from the serial, we need to set the serial up. So serial up again, we're going to use 6900. You don't have to use that. You can use different rates. Just make sure whatever rates you've got set to that is the same as what's on your serial monitor. Okay, so now we need to set the pin mode. As I forgot before, it's going to be relay 1. That's going to be an output. It's all capitals there. It should turn blue if you got it right. And we're also going to need to digital. Oh, don't capitalize that. Digital write. Oh, why is it not typing? Ah, what are you doing? Digital write. This keyboard's going silly. Digital write. I want to set that as relay 1. Yeah, steer my head in this thing. Relay 1. And that is going to be, you can set that as 1 for high, or you can just type high. Totally up to yourselves. Right, so that should be for the first relay. So we've got a button, we've got a button status, we've got our relay which is attached to that, we've set it high, we've got a timer, the serial monitor set, and the pin mode set. So now we're going to the loop, so we need to read the analog pin. So we need, so what we'll do is I, so in I equals analog read, which is going to be A0. You don't need to set this one on the pin mode. I mean, you can if you want as an input, but I'm pretty much certain it's already like that as a default. So now I want to put a button to use. So we'll have button, and then we want to map the value. So we'll say button equals map, and then we now need a map value, which is going to be I, and that's from 0 to 1023, which is what comes out of the 5 volt. It's how the chip reads it. And then we want to map it to 0 and 100. It'll be more usable for what we're using it for. And then we want to obviously print that out on the serial, so serial print, and then we'll have line new, and we want to print button, just so we can see our button, even though we can already see the data being streamed out. And we'll name this take 2. Hopefully that should go up and should stream out the data properly. Oh, we're getting zeros. So the first button, as you can see, is reading a value of 90 and 91. It's a bit shifty. You could change that if you was to obviously map your value a bit larger. You could probably alter it so you got it, you know, just try and keep it square, and that way, like I say, these kind of work out within tens. Obviously, you got 91, button 2 is 81, button 3 is 75, 4 is 67, 54 on 5, and 44 on 6. I mean, these ones are pretty stable. I think it's because this one's not resisting that much, or it's the resistors. You know, it's a weird value. Like I said, it's that long ago when I made this thing, I can't remember what values resistors I used. I'm pretty sure I just used a couple of 1Ks to do it. But yeah. So anyway, now we know our values, which is the reason we're printing this out in the first place. Like I say, you won't need that in later. But obviously we need to see what our values are, so we know, you know, so we can add functionality to the buttons. So what we're going to do now is, we've done that, so that's for the buttons. So we'll name this relay response. Actually, I've got an idea. Relay 1 response, and that way we can keep everything separate when you want to add more, you see. This is still in the loop, if you didn't see that bit. So what we want is if I always do them first, it's just easier just to type them out, that way I know I don't miss anything, because the amount of times I have to go through code looking for bits that I've missed out or forgot to type is incredible, so I try and avoid it now. Doing little things like that keeps me straight. So if button, what was the first value again? So that was 90, so we'll say 90 and 100. So if more than 90 and button less than 100, so as long as it's within that range, you see, that will trigger, you know, that will allow this statement to be true, and obviously then do whatever code it needs to do. We'll drop that down to, come back to here, and what we want to do now is digital write. We're going to be digital write in relay 1. And we want to set that high. I'll explain that a little bit in a minute. I know it's already high and we're setting it high, but you've got to kind of do it backwards because of the way the looping works. Oh shit, I knew that was going to happen. Right, so we want a delay. Delay wants to be D, so we can keep the values the same and change them as we need to make the code work smoother. We also need, oh, I'll tell you what I'm missing. We also need to add button status 1 to that, and that needs to be equal to, so that'll be equals, and the first one wants to be 1. Now button status 1 at the moment is 0, as defined here. It was already set to 0, so that statement won't be true, you see. That will be true later on in the code though. In this we also want to add before the delay button status 1. We want to set that value here to 1. Sorry, 2. If we set it to 2, I'm trying to remember now. Yeah, head up. 2. 1, yeah. So now we want to do, actually I'll copy that, just trying to make it a little bit quicker. Copy that, straighten that up, and the value can stay the same. BS don't want to be 1 anymore, that wants to be 0. This is the one where we're going to be actually turning it on, so it's already gone past this part, so it can't accidentally trigger the next one. You'll understand why if you do it that way. If you do it the other way around, you'll understand, because it basically won't turn on, it won't register it, because it'll automatically switch it off, because it'll read that and then read the second one afterwards. So I'll put that first, and then I'll put the actual on statement before it, so then next time when it comes around it comes back to this one, and it can't trigger this one then, see. So that wants to be setting it to 1, and I need those on the end, why I remember. I think that should work. Actually, we need something for our status, which is the reason we had it in the first place. So we'll put, so if I'll have button status 1 equals 2, button status 1 equals 0, and that's where we set it back to 0. You see there, no button has to be pressed for this to obviously when it's set to here, that'll automatically reset that back to 0, so it could, the code can flow. I think that's pretty much it. What I'll do is I'm going to upload this now, and we'll see if that works, which it should. Code's up, it's not working. Hi, it's because I haven't changed that to low. There we are. See, I'm still making mistakes. Right, that's gone up, I think. Yep, there we are. So I've pressed it, it's gone on. If I hold it down, you see it will switch on and off every quarter of a second. There's probably a slight longer delay because obviously I've got the serial monitor as well. If you take that out, it'll probably speed up the code a little bit, which is the reason why I set the delay values here, so you can alter them to make it, if it seems like it's responding too quick for you, you could always, up the time, so there's more of a delay in between the next time, before it ends the code, sort of thing. It'll do the code first, obviously, then delay. Give you a chance to let go of the button, so you don't get any of that, the debouncing and all that kind of stuff. You won't get any of that with that. If you could stop it from doing that. You could have it so it picks up whether you've released the button, to have it set back. So you could have another statement in here for whether that button's high or not. But it's too fiddly, and like I say, I mean, that doesn't bother me. You see, I would use that as a switch. If it does bother you, there's other ways of doing it, other ways of coding it. But I don't see that as a problem. You still press it and press on and off. Like I say, you could extend it, change that to a second even, which is 1,000. Change that to 1,000, so you could only only turn it on and off every second. It gives you plenty of time to switch something on or switch something off. It's not like you're going to be pressing it, is it? So. Right, so that works. So what we need to do now is we need to create another. Well, I can only do 6. If you're doing 8, it's going to be exactly the same thing. First of all, you want to go to status, because we need more statuses, because we're going to have more buttons, and we need to know what them buttons are doing. So that's 3, and I need 6. So we've got 6, and we need to change these. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now my headset's beeping, so I've got to plug that in. Right, so the relays, we also need to do those. Copy the 3. And that's our 6. We want 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Obviously that's, remember these are the digital pins for these, so we've got 2 there. Obviously we want to be using 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. You don't have to use those pins, you could use whatever pins you like. And that one delay would do for now. And we also need to do the pin modes and the digital rights for each one we're using. So we'll have 2, and then we'll get our 3. We'll go through these as well. I don't want to rush it because otherwise I'll start making silly mistakes. Right, so that's our 6. That's the same with the digital right. Another 3. And that's 6. So 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. That's okay as it is. We've got our ranges and they're literally 10 apart roughly, so we've got our 90 and 100, so we can, what we'll do is we'll name this, I'll name that as status. We'll call that status reset, I think, because that's exactly what it's doing. It's resetting the status when it reaches a certain value. Reset. Status reset. So that's relay response 1. So what I want to do is I'm going to copy that. I love copying and pasting, it's so good. We need to, obviously the reason I wanted the name there is because if you know what name it is, so I've changed it to 2. Let me do another one, and then we'll change it to 3. It's easy to keep track of what these, you know, the button. Obviously the button's got the button status has got to, the number's got to respond basically to the relay. I've tried to keep it simple so you know what each one should be. So that relay should obviously be 3. We know that because of this 3. That should be 3, and obviously this one should be 3 as well. Now I'm going to copy those 3. Make sure I've got it all. So from the bottom here, copy those 3 to the top with the writing, and drop that underneath, and that gives us our 6. So this one wants to be 6 because that's the last. That wants to be 5, and that one wants to be 4. Now that should be 3 and 2 and 1. So just double check that. So what we'll do now, we'll go through these. So this is 1, so we know that's as it should be. The relay turns on and off with that, so we know that's working. So the second one's going to work. So first of all, we'll change this value. On mine it's 80, yours might be totally different depending on your buttons that you're using. And we'll take that to 90 so we don't incur on this one, so we're not going to trigger the first one by mistake. The way this works is if I put equals there, which is how some people do it, so if it's less than or equal to, obviously if it equals 90, which it will do if you press button 1, it's going to trigger relay 2 as well. So that's the reason we're not using that. It's got to be lower than that, so from 89 I'd say. It shouldn't read it. I don't think 1, it's getting close to 80, heading into 89 territory, but it's not had any false triggers yet, but then again I haven't set any other relays up. So right, so 2, that wants to be 80 and 90. This one wants to be 80 and 90 because that's the on and off. It needs to be the same as the other one. So these two, each one you have to set them all to the same. So this one's 80, that will be 90. So we've set the trigger values, and now we need to go through. So that's number 2. So we need to go to the first one here. So button status 2, which is what it's going to be. This is going to be relay 2 and button status 2, and same again on this one. So button status 2, relay 2, button status 2, and then on this one the value was 70, between 70 and 80. So 70 and 80, and that wants to be 3, which is the reason we've got this here, just so we know which one we're on and what the value should be. That should be 3, and that should be 3. Everything else can stay as it is. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that needs changing. So what we'll do is this one was, that'll be 60 without that 0. I didn't need to put that in, did I? And that'll be 7. Hold on, that's button 3. Hold up. Let me just double check because I'm going to get ahead of myself. Right, 90, 100, that's 80 and 90, that's 70 and 80. That wants to be 70 and 80. I did get ahead of myself. And that's also button 3, so we want 3. Oopsie. 3, 3, and 3. Right, I think this one is the one that's supposed to be 60, and that should be 70. And that wants to be button status 4, relay 4, and that one should be button status 4. That wants to be 60 and 80. 70, sorry, jeez. Yeah, just have to take your time with these when you're doing them. That's the only thing with copying and that. Sometimes you might, if you get ahead of yourself, you might start missing them, unless it's just me. So that wants to be 4 also, because it's under 4. This one wants to be 50, and that wants to be 60. And that'll be relay 5, 5, and 5. That one's 5, 5, and 5. And 6, 0, and 5, 0. 5, press your goddamn. Right, so 6, that was 40, wasn't it? 41 or something. 44 and 44. So 50. 40 and 50. And that wants to be 6, 6. And I'm not going to say the next one. Right, so we also need these ones here as well. So we'll copy that because we need to change the statuses back. I'll reset them even. So we need 6 of those. So we want on that obviously BS1. We want 2, 3. 3. I don't know what's going off with this mouse. It's doing my head in. 4, 5, and 6. 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2. And that's it. They should all work now. So I'm going to upload that. Hopefully don't get any errors. Right, so button 1 turns 1 on, as we know. 2 is turning 2 on. 3 is turning 3 on. 4 turned 1 on, so I've missed something somewhere. Right, so that should be 6. See, I keep doing it. Keep missing things out. That should be 6 and 6. Right, let's go to the top. We'll go for them again just to double check. So 1's okay. 2, that worked okay, so it should be okay. 3, 3, 3. 3, 3, 3. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. 5 and 5. 6. Right, that all seems to be okay now. I'll just try again. 16. I don't know. Let's try it now. That'll work. Right, that's up. Right, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. Still something wrong with 4. There we are. Relay 1. That should be 4. That's why it's always best to test them as you're doing them. But 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There we go. That's 6 buttons. So that's basically, yep, that's how you do it. I think the pads, I believe they resistive as well. I could be wrong. It probably depends on which type you buy. If you just did it from a single button, though, you wouldn't really need to do it how I've done it there. I'm just reading the values because it enables me just to use that one input, so it makes it definitely better for wires for one. Not only that, you could potentially add. I mean, you couldn't go as mad as like 1023, for instance, because like I say, there'll be a bit of noise on the line or something, which is going to make it jump from one status of the one button to another. But you could quite easily do, a few hundred on that one input by using the full range rather than mapping the value like I did before. Just leave it as the values they are from 0 to 10, 23, and then that way you get a bigger range. You see, I brought it down because I've only got the 6, and I just wanted nice, clean, straight values, so it's easy to map them out.